Welcome to the Shenandoah Valley Partnership at the Table Forum. We're very pleased to be here today and present to you sort of the agricultural heritage that makes the Shenandoah Valley what it really is. We're at the Rockingham County Fair, the largest agricultural fair in the Commonwealth of Virginia. Rebecca Holloway is the general manager. Sonny Meilhofer is board member, and then we have Jack Dixon, who runs Riverbank Farms. And we're going to be talking with all of these individuals. So first, I'm going to turn it over, Rebecca, to you and Sonny.
Right.
But talk about, the fair, all of what it brings to the community.
Okay. Well, I actually started at the fair a long time ago. So I have an older brother and two older sisters, and they showed. So I was like the kid underneath the bleachers, So I grew up here at the fair, and then I continued the tradition of showing and being a part of 4-H and FFA. So my whole life has been a part of the fair, and it's something that my family, along with all the families in Rockingham County, truly value. So then moving forward, I was an ag teacher. Then I turned into the general manager of the Rockingham County Fair in 2019. So I've been involved. I was actually a board member years ago. So I've served a lot of different roles. So being in this position, I'm able to understand where the volunteers, the board members, all those things, because this fair is based on volunteers. And if we didn't have our volunteers, we would be in so much trouble. Yeah. So being able to relate to them, to their needs, to their wants, to everything like that has helped me, because I grew up in that position and volunteered. Now I am a paid staff, but I do get it and I understand all that. And our goal here at the Rockingham County Fair is to keep those traditions alive that Charlie Wampler started, and that whole regiment that started the Rockingham County Fair. Our goal is to keep the traditions alive and increase the new things and embrace those new things, and just hopefully the community will find them enjoyable and learn. We're moving more and more away from the farm. Luckily in Rockingham County we're really not.
But we'll talk about that.
Yeah,
too.
But we're not. But it allows people 6 days out of the year to come and experience things that maybe they don't get to see every day. Yep. So that's our goal.
Yep. Sonny, you're on the board. How did you get involved?
Well, my involvement started back in the 60s when I was in 4-H and FFA, and I started showing at the old fairgrounds on Kratzer Road, and when I was about 9 years old, so that was about 1963, and then I showed all the way through the mid-70s. And then when I graduated high school was actually the first year that I didn't do it. Took some time. Well, I was escaped because I started a farm myself and got busy, but then my children grew up and they showed at the fair. At this one, it had done moved in, so they showed at this facility. And as time went on, they showed through their careers in high school. And then several years ago, some of the board members called me in to say, hey, solve an issue we got for us, solve a problem. And so I built out a plan. They said, well, we really don't want you to just do the plan, we want you to do it. So that's how I got involved. And then after I did that a year, I think it was or so, I became a board member, and I'm currently vice president of the fair. And to go along with what Rebecca said, this is a good, it's a rare institution that the Rockingham County has here and this region, because we are the largest fair in the state, short of the state fair. And of the people that come in, because so many people have influxed our area that aren't used to the fair, and they come in. So this is an excellent opportunity. When you see people around here and you start talking to them, you realize they're from Northern Virginia, elsewhere, wherever they inherited to. And so just to come in here and be able to see this and touch this and understand part of it, we're still an agricultural county. And I think that's what this institution wants to promote, that we are agricultural based, even though we are growing with a number of people, and also other things that are non-farm jobs. Just to be able to come in here and see this 1 week out of the year is an incredible opportunity for people, and I think that's what's going to really set our stage for in the future.
You just provided so many different discussions that I want to follow up
Okay.
on now.
Yeah.
And we could spend probably an hour, but I want to get Jack in too. But let's talk about, you talk about showing. We're in one of the exhibition halls right now. Why don't you talk about that? I also, a little bit of history and sort of the attendance also for the fair.
So we are in the horticulture building. So this building houses all our flowers, our fruits and vegetables, and our farm crops. And of course, we've had great weather this year. So our flower numbers and entries have tripled. So that's amazing. Weather helps that. But in this building right here, you have anywhere from the junior that could be 4 years old to the adult that could be 99 or 100. So, you have a wide variety of entries right here. And then if you go into our exhibit hall, we have junior and senior homemaking, we have arts and photography, with their numbers are increasing every year also. So there's a wide variety of opportunities for people to participate, so that's what we really love. And the poultry building is a fan favorite of every fair goer. You'll hear a kid come down saying, we want to see the ducks, or we want to see the bunnies, and they're headed to that building. And then we have to promote our 4-H and FFA shows.
Yeah.
We by far, and I will even put our numbers against the state fair, but our livestock exhibits with our 4-H and FFA kids is tremendous. Those kids work, a lot of them, if you have a steer project, you're working all year. So they're gonna sell this project in September, they're gonna start a new one. And trust me, I live that life at my house with my son, and that's how it works.
Yeah.
You're constantly rebuilding your program or doing something. But those 4-H and FFA members down there, I don't know the numbers offhand because we just checked everything in Sunday and Monday. But our barns are packed. We had to build a new barn because we had so many animals. But they will sell on Friday night, and last year, our 4-H and FFA sale grossed for the second year in a row over $1 million.
Wow.
And that all goes back to those kids. So that program and what we can provide in Rockingham County and the surrounding counties is tremendous. And it's an opportunity that a lot of kids do not have, and we have it, and we're so thankful for it.
You talked, I think this is a perfect segue because I will want to bring Jack into the discussion. Jack, you run a farm. You've got a great background. Rebecca just talked about the next generation. You're a regenerative farmer. I can't even say it, but I'm gonna let you talk about your journey to what you're doing at Riverbank Farm and how all of this ties in.
Yeah, it's a great segue because I didn't grow up showing. I didn't grow up in agriculture. My grandfather farmed in McGaheysville, and my dad had a couple hobby cows I grew up around. But by and large, I didn't do anything with it. We always came to the fair as a child to see the ducks and see the rabbits and see the things. And we would know our neighbors and our friends and the kids that were showing, but I didn't participate in FFA or 4-H, and I regret that now. But I went off and went to college and then became a professional fireman, and I worked here in Rockingham and up in Northern Virginia. And then when my son was born, I decided to get off the job, stay home, and I got bored and I started raising some chickens. And before we even slaughtered them for us, people bought them, and that was 3 years ago. So I'm very new in my agriculture journey, but I think the fair, now that being involved in agriculture and Farm Bureau and lobbying for the next generation, I think this is a great place to show what this community is about. When you actually look at the hard numbers of our county, we're the #1 ag producing county in the Commonwealth and the #1 industry in the Commonwealth. So those numbers can't be pushed aside, and we employ 84% more people in agriculture than nationwide stats. So if we're looking at farmers are less than 1% of the population, Rockingham County is really picking up our share of it. And I think that's important to highlight and talk about.
Yeah. Jack just threw out some really good stats. Just for the audience to know, our region has 4 of the top 5 localities in ag production in the area for more than $2.2 billion. The entire Commonwealth is only 5.5 with the latest stats, so that undergirds how important the farming is to this region and what helps make, our food and beverage sector also successful. Talk about sort of the attendance, the people that are coming to the fair, and I love the way that both of you talked about the 4-H and the FFA as well. Give us some stats on the fair.
Well, last year in attendance, we've been seeing about 80,000 people come through our gates, and it's a wide variety of people. You have families, you have teenagers, you have the mid-30s, people. I mean, all ages, and we offer something for all ages. I'll let Sonny can answer some of that because he was in parking, so he saw the people come in. Yeah.
And it is a wide variation. Go ahead.
No, and you have a lot of events to bring those people here too.
That's right. And we have, it's literally something for everyone. I mean, if you come in here and you want to see just homemaking, or you just want to see photographs, that's your deal. Got a huge photograph display. These flowers back here, I just happened to be in here last year, and some lady from another fair came in. And she didn't know who I was from Adam. I still don't know who she was, but she came in here and she said, "I'm flabbergasted." She said, "We're lucky to get 100 entries." Well, there's several hundred back in here, maybe thousands. But she said, "How do you all do this?" And it was just her and I had a conversation in this building about, hey, I don't know how these people show up with all this stuff. They just do. But it's an enthusiasm. When you have a lot of enthusiasm, people want to get on that enthusiasm and build to it. We are regionally in several states recognized as a leading fair. And I can go to North Carolina and say something to some farmers down there and say, "You all got a good thing going on there." And because not every fair is like this one, for sure.
I think it's important to mention too that we, like I said earlier, we bank on volunteers. So like all these entries were taken in by a volunteer department chair and volunteers, and it's like that everywhere you go. And I think that's very, very important because being a nonprofit sort of sets us different too from some other county fairs. And to be as large as we are and to be a nonprofit, that's one of the things too that people are like, "Really?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, we're a nonprofit." Yeah, we are. And we have 4 paid staff and a few seasonal and then part-time helpers, employees. But after that, it is over. Last year, documented. And I emphasize document because I know that there's people in those barns down there that are working. They never write down anything. But we had over 15,000 volunteer hours. And that's amazing. And so I think that adds on to, the enthusiasm and the wide range of volunteers because their age is vary, and that goes into trying to get that new generation involved. So we have one of the instrumental pieces of this building is the 14-year-old daughter of one of the chairmen. So she can use the technology, that helps this all go. And so, just building those traditions helps us too, I think.
Mm-hmm. And you're a year-round operation too.
We are.
That's what people don't understand
Yes.
is that once the fair goes, you just don't shut down.
No, I wish we even had like 2 or 3 weeks, but we don't. Our horse show will be at the end of August, and then from there we start with our rentals, and we are booked every weekend. I'm booking into I actually have booked one thing into 2031. So my joke is I'll put it on the calendar. We'll see who the new fair manager is that will deal with you. But no, we are booked. And we're even filling in weekdays because if somebody can't have a weekend, they're like, "Okay, what do you have available on a Tuesday?" And I'm like, "Oh, we might have a few left, But yeah, so we are and it's great because it's great to have everyone to know what we're here. We're here for meeting spaces. We're here for conferences. We're here for conventions like the National Trappers. We're here and we're open for other things.
Yeah. It's a huge asset for the area to bring more people in. Jack, I'm going to go back to you. You glossed over starting up the farm at a very high level. There's a lot more detail. Tell us about what you're doing on your farm.
So we don't farm in our area, a lot of people raise poultry. We're the poultry capital, or used to be the poultry capital of the Commonwealth and the nation, honestly. And so we've kind of gone back to pre-1940s farming methods. So we raise all of our poultry out on pastures. So our birds come in as day-old chicks from the hatchery, and then we brood them for 2 weeks, keep them warm, safe, and dry, and then we move them out on grass. And then they live on grass for 46 days is about the max. And then we move them every day, so that way the manure that they're producing is going to fertilize our pastures. They're eating grass and bugs, getting sunshine. And then at the end of 8 weeks, we collect them, and then we're one of the first farms in Rockingham County to have an inspected slaughter facility by VDAX. So we're allowed to process.
Which is the Virginia Department
Yes.
of
Agricultural and
Consumer Services.
Yep. So VDAX is our regulatory authority. And then we slaughter, right now we're currently slaughtering about 400 pounds, 350 pounds to 400 pounds of chicken a week. And then all of that is distributed out in a direct-to-customer sales marketing avenue. So I farm. I also run marketing and distribution. I have to run where am I going to find customers, how am I going to get product to them, and it's been we serve a niche market. You know, I can't compete with price points and everything else. We're selling a very specific product to a very specific customer, but demand has been great. You know, this year we're on track for about 4,000 to 4,500 birds that'll all be slaughtered on farm. And then we're starting our first run of turkeys. We've never done turkeys before, so we're pre-selling turkeys now for Thanksgiving. And the big thing with our market is we focus on fresh, never frozen. So because we slaughter every week, we provide fresh, never frozen. We have 14 different types of products, just chicken alone. And right now demand's great. I don't have anything in inventory. Everything, whatever I kill that week, it goes out that weekend, and we start over next week.
Wow.
So. And that's the fun, you know, piggybacking off what Ms. Holloway said, and I'm sorry I knew you from well before this. But I think the one important aspect as somebody that's new in agriculture, the first year and a half I felt very isolated and alone. I felt like I was reinventing the wheel to some extent, and I wasn't plugged into a community. And knowing that kids here are going to show next to each other year in and year out, their parents know each other. Farming is a business, and connections are important in business, and I think that what these kids get here through this experience helps set them up for success than, you know, trying to come in and reinvent the wheel and start from nothing. It builds that community that I think makes agriculture a little bit different than any other industry.
Yeah. I'm not sure that I can articulate this question properly, but I think y'all can interpret it. But you just mentioned some of that business infrastructure that sort of grows out of agriculture, but in many ways you do it all, don't you? I mean, you're really having to wear so many hats in the technology side. I'd love to hear your perspectives on this.
Okay. Do you want me to start?
Do you understand? Oh, any of you, yes, absolutely, Rebecca.
Yeah, it's funny because I've had people walk in the office and be like, "Oh, you're here full time." Yeah, we are here full time. Yeah, we do all the marketing in-house. You know, we do, because we're nonprofit here again. So we're just like a farm almost. You know, we're trying not to, you know, send things out to do. We're trying to do everything in-house with our marketing. You know, we have great business partners that help us with that stuff. But we do all the marketing. You know, we do the rental side of things. So now we're an event center on top of everything else, where, you know, that requires contracts and everything. And so when they hired me, I was an ag teacher. So the farming side I got, you know. But I told them, I said, I have a degree in education. I'm not a business person. Thankfully, I did grow up with a farming background and a business background at home. So, you know, but when you think about what all financials you have to do and keep track of and make sure that everything is in place, I'm a firm believer in working off a budget. You can ask any of my board members.
Sonny is agreeing to that.
Yeah, I was a teacher, remember, we had a
that's
budget.
right.
And if we didn't have the budget, we had to fundraise. So that's the other hat, you know, we're constantly fundraising. If it's through sponsorships or something we're creating, like we do a Christmas Village now, that's another fundraiser for the fair, because basically the Rockingham County Fair is our big fundraiser to keep the lights and the doors open and keeping everything so nice. So there is a lot of different hats that you wear, just like in a normal business that I think it's overlooked, and it gets overlooked in farming too, because like Jack was saying, farmers have to do it all too. So it's not like you have a staff where you walk in and be like, we're going to do marketing here, all this stuff. So
I get the question sometime from consultants of, do we have an entrepreneurial program here in the Valley? And I can't help but laugh
Sorry.
because we have 3,000 entrepreneurs who wear the hat of farmers here. It is absolutely, each one is running a business. You talked about it. I'd love to hear, Sonny, you've been this. I'd love to hear some of your experiences in addressing that so that people can really understand you are multi-talented, multi-staff. You have to do everything.
Yeah, and that's true with any farmer. I mean, some farmers take it to another level, and I might be one of those guys, but for some reason. But I started farming on my grandfather's farm, and built a very large dairy and poultry operation. And then when Pilgrim's Pride decided to shut down, you can go over there in the poultry building and look at the history of farming. I helped start Virginia Poultry Growers Cooperative. I was the one that stood at the back of the room and said, why not? And so I helped start that there, and so that grew into a lot of hurdles there, but that grew into a multi-$100-million company in a very, very short period of time. But it's because people have faith, and they want to do what's right for this area, this region, and so you do wear many hats. I mean, I told the Dean of Agriculture in Virginia Tech the other week, I was in a meeting with him, I said, I took a year off and I didn't go to Virginia Tech, and I said, I'm about 50 years later and I'm still on that year. And so I never went to college, but I've been very, very fortunate that when people see that spirit in you, they will take you under their wing and protect you and lead you in a right direction. I had a very good ag teacher that did that exactly to me, and he handed me off to one person, then that person handed me off to someone else. And you can gain that education, and just right here, it's countless times when people will come in here as a child, they might see something, they might touch something, but they will gain an interest, and that interest that we can take back out there and let them do what they want to is what I think, that's what helps me. I mean, and I know it does hurt. She's got that teacher's heart, and she might be running all this here, but she's got a teacher's heart, and it's nothing any more joyful than to see those kids pick that up. In a couple of years, you see them coming back in that barn leading something, dragging something, or carrying something in that means something to them, but it started with that touch of this place right here. And you can't put money on that,
Yeah. You're a bus driver on the side as well.
I am.
To help. I mean, you wear so many hats with what you're doing at your farm and the way you're running it. I mean, you're living this on a daily basis, right?
Yes, and the nice thing, I think, driving the bus, for example, has been a great opportunity because, one, I like being
and a
able
school
to,
bus.
School bus.
We need to make sure that people appreciate what we're talking about here.
I like being able to give back, especially in the community that I live in the part of the county I do. We need bus drivers. And then the nice thing too is I've got kids that I meet throughout the year that I'm able to bring on as summer help. I've hired 2 high school students this year to come help us process chickens, and they were a little leery at first. They weren't sure what they were getting into. And we've got our last processing day this Thursday before school starts, and one of them's sad to go back, and he's ready to go talk to his buddies that it was better than working at another place or getting a minimum wage job flipping burgers. He's like, I helped process chickens all summer, and it was a cool experience for him. So that's the fun part, I guess, on my end, doing it alone. And it's always just trying to find ways to, one, as a growing business, find consistent labor. And find people that are willing to come back week after week and help, and maybe that looks like you pay them a little bit more than they get somewhere else, or it's a more family feel environment when you're doing the work and a little bit more flexibility. Maybe it's picking them up and taking them home because they can't drive. But making those things and getting the kids involved, that was probably the best thing we did for our operation this year, is just getting the young kids there and having them have fun and seeing what we're doing and want to come back.
Yep. Jack, you've got a beautiful farm. What's your vision for where you'd like to go?
I'd like to grow. So we've been on an exponential growth. We're going to keep that going. One of the things that I think is lacking in Virginia is USDA processing for birds that are not grown under contract. That's a really small percentage. Only 2% of birds in Virginia are not grown under contract. But I think it's still a pretty large market, and I think right now, like with our market, we have a lot of customers, Northern Virginia, Charlottesville, even in the Valley, that value what we're doing, the way we raise our animal, and they value the way that animal comes, tastes and comes. So I'd like to be able to down the road open up an inspected USDA processing facility so that we could help alleviate some of that processing needs. Currently, there's only one USDA inspected processing plant in the Commonwealth that will take independent birds, and I think that's too few. If people are trying to get into raising their own poultry and selling directly to customer, they need to have a safe place, because first and foremost, the public has to be safe, and that has to be done in a regulated space. So the goal is hopefully to fill that void and grow that out.
Rebecca and Sonny, I'm going to ask a similar question. Totally unfair in the midst of you working on a daily basis here at the fair. Where do you see it going? What would you like to see? Is there anything that you think we're missing that we could, not that we're missing a thing,
Right.
I
mean, there's always room for growth. Work with this man right here. The good news is, like with Sonny, I think that way too. Like, I'm always thinking about what's to do next. Like, we've accomplished this, let's move on. And I always joke, we built this building in 2019. That was my first year here. I started in January. This building was non-air conditioned. And I was like, and I heard the volunteers. I heard what they were saying. The flowers were dying. They were dying. They were melting in here.
It is August in a metal building.
Yeah.
That's true.
And so I said to them, and I went to the board. I said, "Let me raise the money. If we raise the money, I'll have it done before fair." And they said, "No, you're not." We raised the money, and the building was here before fair. So that's sort of how I operate. So sometimes they may be more planners. I'm more on the, oh, okay, let's do it.
Implement.
Yeah, we'll get it done. We got a new barn down there. We started raising money like 2 years ago. And finally we knew the amount, the cost of that barn is extremely high. Well, not high, it's the world we live in. But for us, and to be able to pay for it all at one time is not realistic. So we did the fundraising, we've done some things, we went to the board discussed it, and we're like, spend what we've raised, let's get what we get. And then they were like, come June, they started building it. They're like, are you gonna have it done? Yeah, it'll be done, just have faith, So that's how I operate, which is not always necessarily the best way to operate, but that's how I operate. But I do see growth, and I'm sure like Sonny has in his, he's the planner and the projector. Yeah.
Where it goes to in the future, is I don't know, but I do know that if we can hold our enthusiasm there, and I tell her and I tell the rest of and it should be true with everyone, you have to tell your story. I mean, once you tell your story out there to whoever is out there, then they understand your story, and more than likely they're going to want to be part of your story. And there's what we're after. And when we started the new barn down there, of course, we didn't have all the money, and I was the one who was counting pennies, and I said, well, we either do it or you don't do it, and now's the time to do it. And so let's just roll on, do what we got, and then people can see a need. Yeah. It's like having a flat tire on your car. You're not planning to have a flat tire, but when you do have a flat tire, somebody sees you sitting alongside the road and they see your need. So they will help you with your need more than, well, it used to be more later than now, but anyway, they will help you with your need. And so we're looking at ways to, okay, we are a nonprofit. We are owned by only civic organizations. Mm-hmm. The county don't own us. Mm-hmm. The public, through their activities in civic organizations, own us. And so that's an important people. I've heard people walk up past, and they don't know me from Adam, you know. And but they'll say, yeah, the Rockingham County owns this. You know, well, maybe not. You know, I had to stop somebody coming up a walkway one day and just to explain. And he was telling his group of kids, and I said, well, that's not entirely true. I wanted to set the story straight, you know. But I think we have 110 acres here. We use every acre of the 110 acres during the fair time. Matter of fact, we like to use a little bit more. But then once you have a little bit more, you got to figure out what you can do with a little bit more the other 51 weeks. And Rebecca's right. This is one of the biggest regional event centers there is going. We have like 50 or 60 camping spots, or maybe more than that.
We have more than that.
Yeah, we got more. We're one of the biggest campgrounds there is, you know, bar none.
It looks pretty big right now.
It's big.
I'm a camp host too. I left that out on my job description. We facilitate everybody going from Maine to Florida or Canada to Florida, and their campers to and from. We don't advertise. I mean, it's on our website that we have it, but we put no advertising dollars to the camping thing. And we've been asked, and I was like, well, one, we're doing a pretty good job. Like, it's getting out there, and like two, they're like camping. I mean, I love to camp, so like the camping host thing, we just don't have the staff to always maintain it and be on top of things, you know. So. Yeah.
I had no idea.
The other thing I want to emphasize, you don't come in to a facility like this here, having it look like this, and it got that way the week before. It's I tell people, when you see a facility like this big, and it looks this good, there's a whole lot of work that was done by somebody sometime way before you ever showed up. And when you see all these, there's volunteers, there's paid staff that's out here watering flowers that are actually planted. They're just not potted and stuck in the ground the week before. They're planted here, and so all that work, all this grass being mowed out here and everything like that, all that goes into this organization operating, which she controls. And it's just, you really got to tell your story, because it's a lot happening here that's a lot of good.
Yep. Jack, anything to add?
I think they nailed it there.
Thank you. Thank all of you. You really share a good story about the agricultural base and its importance to the region. And part of the reason that we wanted to tell this story is it is our largest sector in our region, but it also is what set the tone for how our region operates. Working together, very entrepreneurial, solution-driven. I'm like you, I'm an implementer. I'll let somebody else do the planning on it. And we embrace what we are, and we're good at it. And so we hope that you enjoyed this, and we will see you next time at the table.